What's up, Braves country? Do you really know the history of this team, or did you just come for the glory and the guaranteed National League East title? The axe is ready, the offense is always hot. But today, my friends, we are going to revisit days where the fan's heart was brutally tested, where the hope of a dynasty was threatened by the relentless reality of free agency. Prepare yourselves, because the history of our Atlanta is not just made of glory. It is also written with the bitter ink of great losses and surgical roster decisions. Every year brings the expectation of the World Series, the ambition that moves us, the certainty that our offensive strength, the famous chop on, will crush the competition. But what happens when the future champion wears our uniform, destroys the league for one season, and then suddenly he simply vanishes? Worse, he goes to the West Coast rival. Yes, I'm talking about 2004, and the name is J.D. Drew. On this day in history, our corner outfielder left us, signing a massive 5-year, $55 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Think about it, fans. A guy who just registered a simply insane offensive production line in his single season with us. Drew hit a .305 average, an absurd .436 OBP, and a .569 slugging percentage. That's not just elite, that's the top of the major league lineup. 28 home runs in one season, resulting in an OPS plus of 157. For those who understand baseball, that is monstrous. And the Atlanta Braves lost that potential star. A move that stripped generational talent off our roster for a long-term contract we couldn't afford or secure. The pain of Drew's departure still echoes. How do you recover from a loss of that magnitude? The chop-on suffered a heavy blow that day, but this franchise is built on resilience and the incessant search for arms that can lead us to glory. And that's where the smart management of our bullpen comes in. Let's advance 10 years to 2014. Braves country was there, looking for depth and a reliable arm for the end of the game. The seasoned reliever Jason Grilli arrived, tied to a 2-year contract. He put on the jersey and appeared in 57 games for Atlanta over 2 seasons, delivering a decent 3.73 ERA over 50-plus innings pitched. Grilli was the kind of solid piece that helps cement a victory, an arm that helped hold the score while the offense did its job. And as is the nature of professional sports, he was dealt in 2016. Traded to Toronto that May, in exchange for minor league pitcher Sean Ratcliffe. This is the dynamic of the game, the constant search for optimization of our roster. But what do these dates tell us? That baseball never stops, and that every decision, from the loss of an MVP-caliber outfielder to the acquisition of a reliable reliever, shapes the path to our next World Series. And the news of this day is not limited only to our team. In 1975, for instance, the baseball world was shaken. An arbitrator declared 2 pitchers, Andy Messersmith and Dave McNally, as free agents, challenging the reserve clause and forever changing the players' bargaining power. Messersmith would sign with the Dodgers, while McNally would retire. But the ripple effect of that decision is what allowed for today's billion-dollar contracts. This is what makes MLB history. Stay tuned, because the past is crucial to understanding the urgency of the present. Prepare yourselves, the most passionate fan base in Major League Baseball, chop on. On this day in our Braves' history, we faced a mix of emotions that defines the mentality of this franchise. Gigantic losses and strategic moves that paved the way for eternal glory in the National League East. Let's get straight to the point, because the pain of 2004 still burns in the chest of the fan who always expects victory. Exactly on this date in 2004, our J.D. Drew jumped ship, leaving the Braves uniform to sign a stratospheric 5-year, $55 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Look at the dimension of this deficit, the magnitude of the loss. In his single season with Atlanta, J.D. Drew didn't just play, he dominated. The guy put up an absurd offensive line of a .305 batting average, a .436 OBP, and a .569 slugging percentage. That's a monstrous OPS that, with 28 home runs, translated into an OPS plus of 157. This number, 157, means he was 57% better than the average hitter in the league, which is MVP caliber performance or, at minimum, a top-shelf all-star. Drew's departure was not just the loss of a talented corner outfielder. It was the removal of a crucial offensive piece at the height of our NL East dominance. Remember, we were in the midst of the legendary era of 14 consecutive division titles, the series of championships the Major League will never see again. Losing a bat that commands so much respect and contributes power and on-base production like that is a blow that would make any other franchise crumble. But the Braves are not just any franchise. Even with the departure of Drew, who took his chop power to California, the system and the winning mentality of the organization ensured that the 2005 NL East title stayed in Atlanta. This proves the depth, the culture, and the resilience of the Braves. However, it's impossible not to look at those numbers and not think about what more we could have achieved in the postseason if that hitting power and plate discipline had stayed with us. It's a bitter reminder that sometimes the financial power of Los Angeles or New York steals the shine from the South, but never our determination. Skipping a decade, we arrive at 2014, a period that marks a very different strategic transition in Braves history, a precursor to our current dynasty of success in the NL East. On this same date in 2014, the Braves management went looking for an experienced arm for the bullpen, signing a 2-year contract with reliever Jason Grilli. Grilli, a veteran who knew high-pressure baseball, brought a stabilizing presence to the mound. In 57 appearances for Atlanta over 2 seasons, he played his part, recording an acceptable 3.73 ERA in just over 50 innings of work. It wasn't a spectacular performance, but it was solid, the performance of a setup man who can eat innings and hold the lead when the game is tight, handing the ball off to the closer. The real stroke of genius, however, came on May 31, 2016. At that moment, the Braves were clearly in rebuilding mode, moving pieces, and capitalizing on assets to build the roster that dominates the league today. The front office made the smart move. It traded the veteran Grilli, who was valuable and played an important role in the bullpen, to the Toronto Blue Jays. In return, we received minor league pitcher Sean Ratcliffe. This is modern baseball in its purest state. It is the mentality of a general manager who sees beyond today's game, who understands that a quality reliever, even if not an elite closer, can be traded for future capital in the farm system, guaranteeing the sustainability of our World Series pursuit. The Grilli trade was a micro decision that reflected the macro strategy. Accumulate young talent, strengthen the base, and prepare the ground for the next wave of dominance. While the loss of J.D. Drew in 2004 was an offensive blow we overcame, thanks to the strength of our culture and farm system, the acquisition and subsequent trade of Jason Grilli in 2014-2016 exemplifies the cunning and vision needed to build a championship team in the salary cap era. On one hand, the pain of seeing a talent with a 157 OPS plus leave for money. On the other, the satisfaction of seeing management use a 2-year contract on a reliever to acquire minor league assets, focusing on the future. That's why we always expect victory. The chop-on resonates louder because we know that even through the difficult decisions of the past, the organization has always worked to keep us at the top of the NL East. Now it's time to focus on the present and ensure the ring returns to Atlanta, honoring the history of resilience and the strength of our offense, even when key pieces left us along the way. Let's go. The cost of elite talent and bullpen smarts. This day in history for the Atlanta Braves fan is a mixture of longing and cold calculation, showing the harsh realities of elite baseball, where the chop-on is fueled by talent we can't always keep. We need to talk about the loss of J.D. Drew in 2004. A blow that, despite everything, didn't break our dynasty, but showed the difficulty of maintaining the stratospheric production he delivered. It's the kind of headache only success brings. Just imagine, in 2004, J.D. Drew had simply obscene numbers in the Atlanta uniform. We are talking about an offensive line of 305 or 36, 569, a performance that screams guaranteed victory. 28 home runs, absurd on-base prowess, and most importantly for the fan who demands production, an OPS plus of 157. For those who know baseball, an OPS plus of 157 means he was 57% better than the league average. That's not just good, that's elite. That was the heart of our offense that year. And it was that kind of strength we expected to see on the field for years and years. The power he brought to the lineup was an engine for the team, a constant threat that left opposing pitchers shaking. This offensive consistency was vital to keeping our legendary division title streak alive, a legacy the baseball world will never forget. Then comes the shock. Drew, a valuable free agent, signs a 5-year, $55 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Losing a player with an OPS plus of 157 after only one season for a contract of that size is a blow to the soul of the fan who expected to see him on the front line for years, maintaining the terrifying offense we knew. This serves as a bitter reminder that even with an unmatched winning culture and a history of divisions, modern elite baseball has a price that cannot always be matched. The Braves' front office, however, never sat still lamenting. The mentality has always been to go after the next win, to rebuild immediately. 10 years later, in 2014, we see the intelligence and coolness of the front office in action, the kind of move that ensures competitiveness year after year. The acquisition of reliever Jason Grilli on a 2-year contract was a tactical and fundamental move, showing that bullpen depth can never be neglected. Grilli was not a young prospect, but an experienced all-star, someone who knew what it meant to close out games under pressure. He came to be an anchor in our bullpen, delivering solidity when we needed it. In 2 seasons, he appeared in 57 games, maintaining a completely acceptable 3.73 ERA in just over 50 innings, stabilizing the bridge to the closers. The icing on the cake, however, is what happened next. In May 2016, Braves management showed its value by trading Grilli to the Toronto Blue Jays in exchange for minor league pitcher Sean Ratcliffe. This is a classic move by a team that knows how to use its assets. We got the best out of a veteran, let him stabilize the situation, and then traded him for a future piece that strengthens our minor league system, injecting new talent to ensure the continuity of victories and division titles. These 2 events, the loss of a superstar with historic numbers and the intelligent management of a veteran reliever, tell the story of the Braves, unwavering resilience and precise calculation. The chop-on demands sacrifices and difficult decisions, but the Atlanta winning machine keeps turning. This is how you build a team that always expects the championship ring, balancing elite talent that leaves with the tireless search for depth and the future. The message is clear. The National League East is ours. The dynasty is standing, and with this offensive strength, there is no bullpen that can hold our offense. We expect nothing less than maintaining the top of the division. This is our territory, and with the chop on at maximum volume, we are going for another title. And you, Warrior fan, do you agree with everything? Drop your pitch here in the comments. Thanks, Chop On family. Subscribe to the channel for the hottest play-by-play in MLB, activate the bell so you don't miss a home run, and throw your take on our team updates.